following presentation is for educational purposes only. All of the symbols, trading ideas, and live trading are for demonstrational purposes and are not recommendations or trading advice. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All of the information and opinions expressed by third-party guests are their own and are not necessarily those of NinjaTrader LLC. Trading futures involve substantial risk and may not be suitable for everyone, and trading futures can result in losses greater than the initial required margin. Traders should only trade futures with risk capital. Risk capital is money that you can afford to lose without jeopardizing your financial security or current lifestyle. You can find additional disclosure information on the NinjaTrader website.
All right, we are back. Let's talk futures. Joining me, a very, very special guest, Harry Daniels from across the pond, London, England, editor-in-chief at Live Squawk News. Good morning, or I should say good afternoon, Harry.
My afternoon, your morning. Good morning.
Thanks for being here with us.
No, absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for the invite.
Now, are you in London proper right now?
If you can hear the background noise, yes. I'm in the centre of town, right in the square mile, what we call the square mile, which is the business districts, I guess, financial business districts in London, yes.
Born and raised?
Oh, yeah, me born and raised in London. I was born in West London, grew up in East London, and I've lived there ever since. So I'm not a Cockney, which is something else, a proper Londoner of the East, but I am a London-born, London-bred guy.
Wow. All right. Well, that's fantastic. I've only been a couple of times. Both times were great experiences. It's been a while. I'd love to come back and visit.
Well, do it while it's sunny because it's not been like this every day.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. That's all right. I'll bring an umbrella or parasol. Do you say parasol or umbrella? And
we say parasol. We say umbrella. If you say parasol,
right.
you'd have no need for it.
Yeah, my British is not that good, by the way. So Harry, we've been showing and using your live Squawk service and showing it on the shows that me and Tom do and Mike Burke does. And here's a peek of it in the background. But even before we get into this is awesome. This is a great tool, and I've been in this trading business for longer than you have. But let's go back in time. When did you start? When did you get involved? Give us your history.
Okay, so I started in the city in London in 1988 at the age of 17, and it was more of an apprenticeship back in the day. If you got into banking, you had to go through several stages via the back office to the middle office and then to the front office. So it was really, you had to go through every stage. No matter what you ended up doing, you would have to go through that process anyway. So I started in the back office on broker receipts and matching trades. So yeah, that was really my introduction to the banking world. And then the bank I worked for, a German bank, Helleber, set up on the London Financial Futures Exchange on live. And they asked if I wanted to go down there and be the runner on the floor there. Didn't know what a runner was, didn't know what the live floor was or futures were in any great depth. But I said yes because, young and dumb. And from an office environment to the floor environment was just magical. It was truly one of those eye-opening and life-changing experiences for me and my career. And once I was there, I didn't want to leave. So I started my career there, got fired from my first job, but loved it so much, couldn't work back in the office, and then pursued a career down there and joined what they called it Cargill Investor Services back then, CIS, an offshoot of Cargill, the agricultural firm, commodity firm, and just excelled from there really and found my niche in the financial market life and did that for 10 to 12 years at Cargill and then at Thales in Tokyo. And then and in that time, I worked for Cargill in Chicago. So I worked on the old CBOT floor, CME floor as well at the time, and had great experiences there in the mid-90s. So, Chicago, when the Bulls were excelling and Michael Jordan was everything, even on this side of the pond. And also the markets were, I think, probably at their height. The bond market, the 30-year bonds back then was the one that moved everything else. And, our desk, and our brokers were next to Tom Baldwin. If those old enough to remember Tom Baldwin, one of the market
Oh yeah.
wizards.
Oh yeah.
So just to see him in action in itself was something to behold, really. So yeah.
So that's interesting because I was early 80s on the
Okay.
floor. So I'm considerably older than you, but but Baldwin was big time back then. So just imagine how successful he was over 10, 12 years in the treasury bond pit.
Oh, well, listen, on our side, as I said, when it comes to bond moves on a Friday, and we would get the message through from Chicago, oh, it's a Baldwin squeeze, or Baldwin's getting out of a position and liquidating longs or whatever. If there wasn't an explanation or a true explanation for the news, they blamed it on Baldwin for moving
Oh,
the 30th.
yeah. And what's amazing to me is this, I'm a Chicago kid. I was born and raised in Chicago. 58 years I was in Chicago before I moved south after the kids fled fled the coop, so to speak. And we're talking about a guy in the pit that I knew from you, who's in London. You spent time in Tokyo. It's amazing.
Oh, listen, one of the benefits of living or doing the job that we do is you get to travel, you get to see all these different places, and people don't often register that when well, I didn't when I got into this business, the opportunities that are open to you and the travel, which is great. I mean, I love traveling now, but
Yeah.
back then, as a kid, it was eye opening.
Yeah. So, okay. So then at a certain point, you came up with an idea, right?
Yeah.
You came up with a news idea, right? So explain the transition to us.
Well, basically, I'd done a whole 12, I think it was probably 12 years in the city. And then went on to I left the city for a while, went traveling as you do, came back and became a prop trader at a company called Mako Global. And I did that for a couple of years in the fixed income side of the room. Didn't really make enough money to sort of to exist, and left there wondering what I could do really. And one of the things that I think would have helped me was having uh, effectively a broker without the order flow. So someone who would just say, "Hey, do you know this is going on today?" Or more research I probably should have done myself at the time, and just knowing what was going on and what was happening throughout the day. Are there bond auctions today? This is all stuff we knew, but so that was missing from guys that transferred from the floor, that physical environment where you can see flow, to those who've gone onto the screens by then, because a lot of the floors were closing down and people have moved on to screen-based trading. So there was a hole in the market that I saw. One of my colleagues who I traded with had gone to start what we call a Squawk now, and there'd always been a Squawk. I mean, in Chicago, we used to get the feed from the floor from the CME, and we used to hear all the S&P moves and the bond market moves at the time, and it was very colourful, very it's informative. It helped us, even if it was just background noise, it was a good thing to have there, and it will give you a gauge and a temperature on what was happening. So yeah, basically it was that's what I thought we needed in London at the time, and I wasn't the only guy, but I was one of the first couple of companies that decided to do this, and I had no money, so I had credit cards, and I had 3 credit cards. At the time, you get 0% interest rate, so I maxed out one to pay for things. I used the other one to pay the first one every month, and I used that last one to pay that, and I juggled it until I wouldn't advise, but I juggled the 3 cards around until I started making enough money. I went to a trading house who needed an in-house analyst, and said, "Look, if I can set up my business here, you can have the service for free, and I'll go out there and get my business and build my business." And that's what I did.
Wow,
And
that's a real entrepreneurial story, right? I'm committed. I have an idea. I think it's a great idea. I'm going all in. You're using credit cards. You're going all in to build a business. Perseverance paid off, and here we are today.
Yeah, I was told not to do it. I was told it wouldn't work, and I shouldn't do it. And that was probably the one thing that you don't tell me if you don't want me to do something, is tell me not to do it, because then it just gives me that incentive to go out there and prove everyone wrong. And yeah, we built the business from here really, and it is what it is today, which is, listen, it's not a million miles from what it was, because in essence, our USP, what we do is the same. We want to be another pair of eyes and ears on the market and make sure that our customers are always aware of what's happening around them, potential potential holes, potential opportunities. You know, we're not here to make guys money, but we are here to help you try not to lose money, in the sense that you shouldn't be caught out by the events that happen throughout the course of a day.
Yeah, and there's two kinds of news in my mind. There's planned news. In other words, we know it's coming. We know the Bureau of Labor Statistics is going to release this report at this time in the morning. We know what the economists think the expectations are. That's planned news, right? And when that planned news hits, boom, that market reacts immediately to that planned news. You see it in the candles.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's again, it's what has fed the I think the markets over the years. These planned events, the diarised events, the cyclical monthly, or in the case of central bank events, 6 weekly, 8 weekly events, and it's what intraday traders, I guess, feed on, and fundamental traders anyway. And even from a technical perspective, you need that liquidity. You need to have that movement, and what creates that movement essentially could be a data point that misses estimates, a surprise rate cut or rate hike, for example, or in the old days, up and down gradings from the rating agencies. Although that's obviously a bygone part of what we see.
So I'm always amazed at how quickly, right? 10 o'clock, the report comes out, 10 o'clock in 1 second, it seems like the data is like pumped through your interface. Is that a big technology challenge?
At times it can be, but I think this is where our market experience, where my 30 odd years in this industry leads us, because what you do is you prioritize the key information and make sure that's the first thing you push through the audio. We're an audio news service, so you'll hear it before you see it, and it was one of the reasons I think this works as an industry and as a service, because you're limited with what we call screen real estate at times, where you can only have so much, and you should only have so much. You blind yourself with science and blind yourself with screens. There's too much intake. So using your ears rather than your eyes sometimes just frees you up to focus on the trading element of what you're trying to do. So in a sense, it was hearing that piece of news first. I'll give you an example. The old days we used to do money supply, M3 for Europe, or whatever, that was important. So we try and knock that out. But nowadays inflation is everything. So we have to then look through the inflation reports every month. What got the most reaction? What is it that people will be stimulated by initially and triggered by initially? Is it the year over year? Is it the month over month? Is it the core? Is it the core services? And that's where we add that bit of value that you can't always get, we won't get from AI or anything else. You have to have that human intuition to understand, well, things have changed. It's the tipping point now, and we now believe this is where you should be focused on as a trader. And it's a consensus thing. We'll ask our clients, what is it you want to hear? What is it that matters to you? And we'll respond accordingly.
Yeah, no, and it's great. And that, the other category is non-planned news, right? Stuff we didn't expect that just comes out. As an example, this morning was a great example. Me and Tom and Mike Burke, we go, we do the morning shows, and we look at a whole bunch of different asset classes. They're CME Group mostly. We look at these different asset classes, and I noticed, you had a ping today this morning. It was silver trades down 3% from its previous close. And I wasn't looking at the silver market at the time. And I'm like, Tom, we got to look at the silver market right now, because there's a move afoot, right? But I got that alert from you. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Also, well, I'm glad that's the whole essence of what we're trying to do. Look, we have a lot of institutional clients and tier one banks that listen and take in our feed and our audio. And talking to some of their clients, that as I do from time to time, if you're an FX options trader, you know your market. You shouldn't need me to tell you what to look out for in your market. But what you may not know is what gold or silver's doing, or what the 10-year note's doing. How was that auction? Because that may impact, or a geopolitical event may impact what you're trading at any point in time. So having us in your ear just gives you that little bit of a heads up and a bit of an understanding of the more macro picture. And it is that macro picture and how it feeds into your particular asset class, your particular market that I think highlights best how we serve our audience.
Right. And that's so awesome. So if we could spend a couple minutes on just the kind of the news feed here, Mission Control, I'm just going to show my screen again. And so, it's first of all a very slick presentation. It's easy on my eyes. There's not a bunch of nonsense scrolling, only important information. And then, you have these drop down boxes where you can click on it and get more information related to whatever the news topic is. So that's number one. That's pretty handy. There's my silver notification right there. Now, even within these windows, you could click, right? Full view market alert. And we'll talk about the audio alerts in a second, but you'll go right to the actual website from where the source of the information is.
Exactly right. That's really important to us. We don't claim to know everything. It's not about us. It's about aggregating that news and the data so you can make your informed choices. That's all we're here for. We don't offer advice. We don't tell you things are going up or down. We're agnostic in that sense. I say politically, market-wise, we're agnostic. But if we can deliver that information to you in a readable, accessible format that you can then make your informed decisions on, that's our job. And also, I think from an educational perspective, you then understand where that data is coming from. You understand the breakdown of the reports. At best, we always try and bring you that breakdown as well. So it demystifies, that's the word I choose, demystifies and democratizes the news is what we're trying to here.
All right. Now I don't have the live squawk volume turned on because it'll interfere with, I'm afraid it's going to interfere with our conversation. So that's one of the features, right? You could turn an audible on.
Yeah, so as you can see at the top of the page there, you've got play in page or play pop-up. As I said, with screen real estate, for some, they haven't got the luxury of having a whole screen dedicated to the news. But or they want to look at other things at the time. So you can play in pop-up mode. And if you can, I think you can press pop-up and it won't bring on the player itself, he says.
Right.
But
yeah.
So then it brings you a miniaturized version, and you can then basically have that stuck in the corner. You're still aware of where it is and the headlines that are coming out, but you don't have it dominating your screen. And we've worked on this. We've been in this game nearly 20 years, and so in terms of getting something that's easy on the eye, it's taken time, it's taken feedback, and we think we're there. We also have a search function as well. So you can go back if you've missed comments by a Fed speaker, for example. You can then put a search in there, and they'll bring up everything that person said or a piece of data that's come out or whatever. Or you can exclude elements that you don't want with the choices that we have there, because we tag a lot of our news headlines anyway.
So you could filter on different asset classes and stuff like that.
Exactly right.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. This is awesome. So, and at the top here we got, calendar, right? Everybody loves the calendar. It's international, right? You have an international point of view.
You can adapt it to your time zone. So, wherever you're in North America or Sydney, for example, you can then figure out the time zone and change it to your time zone.
Nice. Yep, I just found that. Awesome. Didn't know that. Let's scroll a little lower. Okay, so reports. I'll click on reports here. Again, and these are like links to the source, right?
Yeah, if you refresh that page, it will just bring up the actual. I don't know, it's one of those things. But long and short of it is, we have 3 briefing reports every day that really either introduce you to the day coming, or will give you a roundup of the day that's been. So effectively, you can go to the European briefing, and it's everything that's happened overnight. From the US close through Asia and then into the European Open. So you're all set. That goes out before the European Futures Open at 7 in the morning. So you then get an idea of what's happened during the session, and all the headlines and comments that we think are relevant. Again, this is part of that curated service that we provide. And we have 3 of those reports. As I said, you have a European briefing, a US briefing, and a closing wrap that just gives you the end of day stuff for the US, but for the Asia clients, sends that in. Below that, you can see some of our articles. We generate a lot of our own written content, and we'll cover some of the bigger stories of the day and the bigger news pieces. And we preview and then review key events and key data points throughout the session. As you can see, that's my write-up of the yesterday's Bank of England rate decision, which was quite interesting, even though it was a fairly vanilla decision announcement. There was a lot to read into what we're likely to see in the coming 6 weeks before the next meeting.
Yeah, no, I love it. This is real. I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit more geeky maybe than most people. I love reading this stuff. And so this is really handy information.
But it's also very concise. One of the things that there are plenty of publications out there, you can get an in-depth look at what's happening and what's going on. For us, this is we want to be able to appraise you of everything that's happening. So we want it to be sort of snippy. We want it to be concise. We want you traders traditionally, in my day at least, attention spans were great. I guess they're probably even worse nowadays with everything else that's there. So you want to make sure you grab them in the first couple of paragraphs, give them what they need, give them the information, and then look into that. As I said, we provide links. You can then go in a bit further and look at in a bit more in depth. But we want to appraise people, make sure they understand what it is that's happened, what it is that's going to happen, and where they can find the information should they want more.
So, all right. So, but with respect to like the actual, the regular economic releases, are you hooked up directly to the agencies, or are you scraping the internet somehow?
No, in some instances, both are true. In some instances, we, will have data fed through. In other instances, we'll be using our scrapers, both manual and automated scrapers, to find out what's happening and try and get that information as quickly as possible. Our audience, as I said, is varied. We have tier 1 customers through to what we call on this other part, the retail client. So the guy that sits in an office, and she might look at the S&P 2 or 3 times a week, but needs to know what's happening. Or you got that FX trader that wants it every day and needs it every day because they respond and trade. The whole reason this was set up was because we had a large customer base of proprietary trading desks. So guys that trade professionally that sit there every day, all day, looking at headlines and reacting to market events.
Yeah, and that's kind of right. Those, like, if you're in the same room, and I know the whole prop firm thing's kind of changed to virtual now, but if you're in the same room, you could shout it out. You could say, "Hey, look at, did you see Livesquawk? Blah blah blah." And you can talk about it. Exactly.
But again, there's a level we want to recreate that. We have a chat room as well that's separate to the platform there that we have. But the more senior traders and pro traders, I guess, can reach out to others and discuss and talk over what they think the stories are and what matters to them. So at every stage, we try and accommodate the strata of trader we're catering to.
All right, so that's a separate chat feature. Is that like a Discord thing or just your own chat?
Yeah, Discord. We have a Skype group that we have on this old school Skype, but it's what I started the service on in the very, very early days.
Okay.
When you could only have 10 separate lines on one chat room. That's stuck, and we'll move it onto this platform. We'll put it as part of this package, but it's worked for our clients, and it's just a place where guys can sit and chat It's virtual, but in the sense that they can converse with each other about what they see as important or not, and ask a question, have access to our desk, and really get some quick answers as to. And also, we're nothing without our audience, so everyone's a pair of eyes and ears. So someone might see something, we can go out there, verify it, and then push that out to the masses, and everyone benefit.
Wow, so that's very interactive, right? So it's like, all right, you're admitting you don't know everything, you don't see everything, right? You try to learn, you try to see as much as you can, and then one of your customers or one of the people participating on the site says, "Hey, did you guys know this happened or this is going to happen?" And then you could research it and push it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is going back to that collegiate element where, you know, someone in when back in the prop trading days when you were all sat around together, and someone's going, I've just seen Bun's just spiked 15, 20 pip ticks. What's going on? Someone else goes, I'll ring up my broker friend and ask him, oh yeah, such and such is happening. It's that kind of, it's emanating that. It's trying to, replicate that kind of environment where you've got your buddies sitting there. And yes, it's virtual, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work on that level.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a great service. It's, so many of us nowadays, especially post-COVID, are trading from their houses or maybe a small office or a basement or, the backyard, whatever, right? That is the dominant thing that's happening right now. So that makes trading a lonely initiative, especially
Yeah.
if you're by yourself. You're in a room by yourself, looking at a chart, looking at, maybe listening to, maybe listening to Bloomberg or whatever. It's lonely, right? And that could cause some psychological doubt in trading. And now you have another format where there's other traders involved.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's always been a lonely business trading for yourself. It's by the virtue of what you do, it's that is what it is. But it doesn't have to be something you do alone. You won't change the dimensions of how you feel before or after. But if you know everyone else has been dumped on, for some reason it's that, okay, well, it's not just me. It isn't, that helps because you're all, as a trader, having been one many, many moons ago before I started the service, that you're always judging yourself. You're always, trying to you're assessing yourself every single day. I used to go to weekends looking at what I'd done the following week. If you're in a group of traders that just go, yeah, you know what, that happened to me. I saw that the same way. You're still down in your account or your whatever, but you understand that it wasn't you, and then you're a bit easier on yourself. And psychologically, I think that matters.
Oh, I agree 100%. 100%. So we have about a minute or so left. Is AI going to play a role into this news feed information?
I don't see a reason why it shouldn't. I think if you can utilize a tool and to make the service better, absolutely. Are we using AI? Not to its not to its max, because I still think there's a human element. While you still have humans trading this thing, you need humans assessing and curating what it is that gets. Sorry, machines just can't give you that nuance. When a central banker speaks, for example, they just see what is said and maybe one of the there are elements where you use AI, but for the most part, you're dealing with humans and interacting with humans because that's what this is. It's a
Yeah.
social construct.
No, I'm old enough to prefer that anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is
Well,
awesome. So the
it's
best way for people to find you is going to the website, right?
live,
Livesquawk.com.
livesquawk.com to find us. We have a Twitter handle at livesquawk as well if you want to follow us on there.
Okay.
There's lots of bits and pieces of information. We try and, after a while, obviously our clients get the proprietary information, but there are loads of bits of information there. We've teamed up with CME, so there's lots of educational stuff on the website as well. So yeah, livesquawk.com. Sign up for a trial. If you mention that you come through NinjaTrader, then you'll also get a discount if you decide to sign up. Sort that out.
Well, there you go. Code NinjaTrader. I love it.
There you go.
All right. I appreciate that. Well, I really appreciate your time today. I know it's a little bit later in the day for you. I'm sure you've done a lot of stuff already today, but thank you so much for being with us today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
All of the symbols, trading ideas, and live trading are for demonstrational purposes and are not recommendations or trading advice. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All of the information and opinions expressed by third-party guests are their own and are not necessarily those of NinjaTrader LLC. Trading futures involve substantial risk and may not be suitable for everyone, and trading futures can result in losses greater than the initial required margin. Traders should only trade futures with risk capital. Risk capital is money that you can afford to lose without jeopardizing your financial security or current lifestyle. You can find additional disclosure information on the NinjaTrader website.